Hey everyone, welcome to today's live stream with Caitlin. So if you've never met Caitlin, she is, just so you know, the #1 most popular video on this channel when she was talking about Alibaba for the Planner Academy 1.0 experience. And just so you know, she's going to talk to you all today about sparkles and crystals and how to do them yourself. And also, she is going to be a new coach as well in the Planner Academy 2.0 VIP experience. So I'll let you just introduce yourself and tell us a little about Sparkle Bus. Oops,
yeah, so I'm Caitlin. Like Lisa said, I did a video on how to sell on Alibaba, or not how to sell on Alibaba, how to source products on Alibaba. So that's pretty great. But today I'm here to talk about rhinestoning and sparkles and just customizing anything that you have with rhinestones. Today I'm doing a planner because it's Planner Academy, so duh. Yeah, so also a co-owner of the Sparkle Bus. Unfortunately, we are going out of business, so we are wholesaling, I shouldn't say wholesaling, but just closing out all of our crystals. So we've got something like 110 colors in stock with a range of sizes. So just selling that out to everybody at a really good price. So great chance to go get your crystals to rhinestone your planners.
Yeah. So just so you know, do you want to hold up a couple crystals so people can see what they look like?
Yeah, here actually I'll just show you the crystal mix I'm working with. How can you see that pretty well?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so yeah, so we sell only Swarovski crystals. So these are all Swarovski. They're all flat back, no Hotfix. Perfect for customizing any project, really.
And then will you explain the difference to people between the flat back and the Hotfix?
Yes, so flat back just means that they're flat so they can be easily glued to any surface. No Hotfix means that there is no adhesive on the back. So Swarovski also does sell crystals that are called Hotfix, where you get the crystal, you heat up the crystal and the adhesive on the back gets gummy and then sticks to your project. And I prefer to do no Hotfix and add my own glue. I just feel like it sticks better. But, you know, to each their own.
Okay. And then when they are using your crystals and they want to adhere them to something, what kind of glue do you recommend and how does that work? If you wanted to show us how to like glue some crystals on.
Yeah, definitely. So there's so many different types of glue you can use. Depending on your project, I will be using Super Tight today. I like this one just because it's non-toxic. We also have E6000 Fabrifuge. We're selling this one on our site right now, also included in the 30% off of everything. This one's great for any of your projects, including fabrics, if you're going to rhinestone costumes or just anything fabric related. E6000 non-Fabrifuge is another really popular choice. This does have fumes to it, whereas the like rhinestone when using 6000. But like I said, today I'll be using Super Tight just because it works well on a bunch of different surfaces, but it's also non-toxic. I'm not able to open the door and air out right now because it's like 30 degrees and snowing. And I don't feel like freezing. So there's that. Lots of different tools for application as well. I always suggest purchasing some sort of rhinestone applicator. So today I'll be using a crystal katana. So what's great about these, if you've ever rhinestoned before, you see the rhinestones they're so tiny. And so to pick these up individually and then place them wherever you're going to put them is it's just not fun. It takes forever and your fingers cramp. Whereas using like a crystal katana or I call these wax tip stylus, these are much cheaper. Both of these tools have a waxy end that allows you to pick up the crystals really easily, and then an end that allows you to put your crystal in place very easily. The price range is, quite different. Crystal katanas are more spendy. I want to say like they're 20, 35, somewhere around there dollars. You can get them at Michael's. You use a half off coupon if you want. I suggest these if you're going to rhinestone a lot of projects or a big project. We call these little wax tip styluses. You can get these online at most rhinestoning places. They're usually like $2 for a package. Great option if you're just going to do one project because they work really well still. A few other things. People think that adhering glue is really, I don't know, just messy and this and that. It doesn't have to be. It's really easy. I usually just put glue on a scrap piece of paper or paper plates, and then I use a toothpick to apply the glue to my surface. I just am reusing the packaging that came off of my planner to use as my glue station today. And then just a place to put your crystals so they don't get messy.
We have a question, just one question really quick. It's from Kim. She's asking, do those glues yellow over time?
No. Oh, I should say it depends on which one you use and also which crystals you use. So what I love about Swarovski crystals is that the back never dissolves on the crystal, where like the cheaper crystals, the backing, the foil on the backing sometimes dissolves. It can change the color of the glue slightly depending on what the backing is, or bleed out, as well as like some glues, if you're using, I don't know which glue would turn yellow. I haven't used those, but I'm assuming if you use a colored glue or something that is maybe not as high quality, it would maybe turn yellow. But I've never had issues with E6000. I've rhinestoned a ton of costumes. One costume I rhinestoned like 7, 8 years ago still looks fantastic. The backing has dissolved on any of the rhinestones. The glue is clear, hasn't cracked. So I'd say just making sure you're sticking with a clear, high quality glue, and you should be fine on the yellowing. Also, a side note, I've noticed, like I mentioned before, there's the Hotfix and no Hotfix backs. A mistake I've seen people do is they'll glue a rhinestone that has a Hotfix back, which has a bit of a like reddish color to it. And for the first like few years, you'll be fine. But I've noticed that when people have done that, because they just didn't realize the difference between the two, that reddish backing was, leaked over onto the fabric and caused staining on the fabric. So just really making sure that depending on the product or the rhinestone you're using, you're adhering it properly, so that you don't get red marks on your fabric.
She's saying E6000 will yellow over time, I think.
I haven't noticed plain E6000 yellowing over time. Like I said, the costume I rhinestoned, I think it was 8 years ago, still looks great, and I haven't noticed any yellowing. So I'd say just making sure that you're using fresh glue. And if your glue is a few years old, like swap that out with a different, like a fresher tube. But so far with the clear E6000, I haven't had any issues with that.
Yeah, that's true. If you use super old glue, it's just not going to work very well.
Yeah. So I'd say check that out. And also just be aware of what you're gluing it on. For example, I know like some, depending on what you're, like if it's fabric or whatever, if there's a dye that's in there, just making sure that the glue doesn't lift that dye. So making sure, once again, you're using like high quality dyes and high quality fabrics. I think like a cheaper fabric with a cheaper dye on it there's always that chance that the glue will lift that, the dye out of the fabric. So I always suggest testing just the little corner of your glue on your fabric, especially if you have a scrap or some place that you can't really see, just testing it to see how the glue handles or how the fabric handles your glue. And you might have to try out a few different types of glue to figure out what works best for your fabric. Okay. But E6000 is usually like the blanket go-to glue.
And then when you show us how to, because I didn't even, when we were first doing this crystals and you're like, you need the katana. I'm like, I don't need the katana. I'm just going to throw them out there. And you totally need the katana to put those on there if you want to try to put them on a planner.
You do. I I tried using a tweezers once and it was like death. My hands hurt and I kept on losing the rhinestones everywhere. So like I said, today I'll be using the katana, similar to the cheaper options too. They both have the wax tip to them. I just like the katana for longer term use, and I've done a lot of rhinestoning. They last forever, and you can reshape the tips so they're still pointy if they get smashed down. So you can see here the way it works, and I'm actually just put some on the planner because it'll be way easier to see this. So there are, just a side note, there's some trays that you can get called magical trays. They or magic trays, something along those lines. They are triangular shaped, and when you put your crystals in there, you shake them, they flip them, all your crystals shiny side up, which is great. I don't have mine right now, so that's kind of sad. But so from you see here, the way it works, you take the wax side, and on that you can pick up your crystal on the shiny side. And so you'll see here, you can pick it up, move it around, and it is now stuck to your crystal. And then when you put it down, it comes off very easily and goes right in place. And then I use the metal side here to move the crystal around if it's in the wrong place, or push it down into the glue to make sure that it's adhered properly and will stay nice and tight where I put it. So yeah, there's that.
Cool. And then just if they want to wipe their planner, like if it gets dirty, will the crystals come off, or should they be really careful? Like, can you put the planner in your purse or no?
Yep. So is depending on what type of glue you use, it should stick really well. Another thing is just, making sure you're using enough glue. Oh, the dogs are back. Hi, babies. You want to use enough glue to actually adhere your crystals. But at the same time, you don't want to use so much that it smashes out. So it's just, you might have to play around with it to figure out how much glue you need for the size crystals you're using. But as long as you have just, I'll show you here how much to put down, but you really don't need too much. But when you're going to have issues is if you don't use enough glue. Also, if you use like a plastic or laminated, you might have issues with rhinestones falling off, just because the way the glue works is it hooks into any pores. And with plastic surfaces, it just doesn't have that to hook into. So that's where you're possibly run into issues. But as long as it's not a plastic surface, just do some trial and error on how much glue to use and make sure you're using enough.
And then, are you showing us? Sorry, you cut out for like a millisecond.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, I can definitely show you how much to put on there.
Okay.
So like I said, normally what I do is I use a toothpick to put down the glue. But I realized way too late I was out of toothpicks. So I'm just using the plastic end. So what we do is just put a little bit of glue down, and you see it's not a lot. And so I picked a planner that has a really easy pattern to follow. Again, one Target, it's sugar paper. You'll know a few. Can you see that at all? It's probably going to be hard to tell.
It's more, we can see it. It's just more, I think your internet
down
connection. I think your internet connection is slow, so it's like, it's choppy on the upload.
It's a little bit wonky.
Yeah. It's okay.
Okay. I'm sorry about that.
But it's just a tiny bit, right? It's like a dab, because I was like way overdoing the glue.
Okay.
I remember
So
you were like,
normally I just put down like, I don't know, 3 to 5. Yeah. Oh yeah. I was like, girl, stop putting down so much glue. So I'm just using, we have what we call unicorn mixes, and that'd be perfect for this. It's a mix of a bunch of different sizes and colors that all mix well together. So I'm using the ice blue mix just because I want a nice random look as far as the colors and sizes go. And so my plan is to eventually, this whole thing will be covered and it'll just be like a nice, I don't know, gradient of colors all over the place. So when I did there, I just put down the glue and then used my wax tip to pick the crystal up on the shiny side and then put down the glue. So one thing I've noticed a lot of people do is that they use the wax side to apply glue, and that's what you do. Just use your toothpick. We also have other that works too. All personal preference. I use glue syringes, and I still prefer to use toothpicks.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll put down a few more here. Let's do 3 more so you can see. So as you can see, I'm really not putting down that much. And then put down a handful more crystals. So even like these bigger crystals right here, the wax side still is able to pick them up very easily.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really not going in any pattern, and then just using the metal side to push them down because I just want a random look. Big thing is don't put down too much glue at one time, because if the glue gets too dry, then that you're going to also have an issue with your crystals sticking properly. You can also go in, as you can see, the glue sticks out a little bit on the sides here. You can either leave that because it'll dry clear, or you can go in with a tweezers and remove that glue. With E6000, I suggest letting it sit for just maybe 10 seconds and then pulling it off, and it comes off very nice and clean without any issues.
Okay, cool.
And of course, I left my tweezers at home, so I won't be doing that with this. Yeah, so there's that. Does anybody have any questions on applying crystals or crystal selection? I know that's always a really big question.
Let's see. Benita D'Souza. Hello, pretty. I love your videos. Which video was that about templates on InDesign? Oh, there's a playlist called InDesign Templates. And let's see, Kim again. I was concerned about the glue yellowing after sale in the customer's hand. I've had it happen in my own jewelry I've made for myself. I see glue yellowing is a big
okay, so you're using jewelry.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's different, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I actually haven't done any jewelry I focus on costumes. So I haven't done anything with jewelry. I'd suggest in that case doing some research. I found a lot of information in different forums about the type of glue to use for jewelry. So do some research. Still have said about yellowing and the material. So the big thing is always the material you're using and the crystals you're using, and just making sure that everything's high quality, but then that you're using the proper glue, because there are a million glues out there. So just doing that little bit of research beforehand to make sure that you're not going to get yellowing in the long run.
Darlene looks very pretty. Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different pretty colors. How would you
it's going to be beautiful when it's done. I'll send Lisa a picture when it's done.
Yeah, for sure. How would you suggest people pick out colors? Can you hear me?
Yeah. So, it's completely up to you. So, for example, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think there's a delay with your.
I don't know. I'm struggling with my internet connection. Yeah. Different thing. Lisa, can you hear me?
You cut out for a little bit. We heard nothing.
Okay, I'll start over. I didn't get too far.
Okay.
So as far as color selection goes, so like for.
All right. I think you're making.
I don't know what's going on with this.
Are you there? Okay.
at all or see me? Sorry, guys. I don't know what's wrong with this internet connection. Let me make sure I didn't bounce me off over to Xfinity. Sometimes it does that. Nope, it should be fine.
You can go ahead and talk. Without the video, we can hear you fine.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. So, so like I said, it depends on what you're rhinestoning. So like I chose a neutral planner. And what I liked about the planner that I chose is it just has gray dots. So it's extremely easy to follow the pattern. In any planner you choose, I would say choose something with an easy pattern to follow, like a flower or lines or dots. A big thing is backfilling and making sure that if there's a color on the item that you're rhinestoning, that you're matching the crystal to that color, because you'll get the best results. So especially if it's like a heart shape that you're trying to make, having hearts that's got a backfill of red, if you're going to rhinestone the heart red, will make a much stronger heart. It'll look just like a white background, and then you rhinestone a heart shape with a heart. You'll still see the heart. It'll just look better with the backfill. So matching your crystals to your backfill is really important. And then, like I said, if you have a neutral project like this planner, then it's just choosing the crystals that you want on here. And so, like I said, I've got a mix of blues, greens, and more of the neutral crystals.
Okay. So Darlene Kim said, okay, thanks. Bonita, pick out colors, the color wheel. Yeah, color wheel's great idea. Darlene, is there a link to crystals and accessories? Yeah, it's down below.
Yeah, and it's yeah, so it's sparks.com, and you can use code closeout for in stock right now, so you can't go wrong.
Okay. All right, and then last question, Bonita, Lisa, the InDesign template videos are deleted from the playlist. What would you suggest? I mean, there's a few videos listing. If there's something specific you're looking for, just go ahead and put it in the comments below, and I'll answer you right after this. But I think that's kind of it. If you guys have other questions, just leave them in the comments, and Caitlin will get to your sparkle Swarovski crystals later. All right, you're frozen, Caitlin. I don't know if you can hear me. Thanks for coming. I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye, everyone.
I can hear you.